How's it hanging, Paw Posse? We're in the kitchen today because we're making Pawpaw cookies! First, let's start with the ingredients. For the glaze, we're going to need confectioner sugar. For the dry ingredients, we need all-purpose flour, baking soda, baking powder, ground cinnamon, ground nutmeg, and salt. For the wet ingredients, we've got granulated sugar, unsalted butter, and vanilla extract. And of course, we've got the food processor ready for pureeing the pawpaw. Okay, let's make some cookies. Alright, wait, where to start? Oh, right, we have to preheat the oven. Boy, those buttons sure seem far away, don't they? Whew. Okay, now we've got the oven set to 325 degrees. Let's get to mixing. First things first, food safety. Alright, let's start with the wet ingredients. Sugar, butter, and vanilla. Start with butter, 2 sticks. These have been left out of the refrigerator overnight to soften. Now we add a cup of sugar. Now to cream the butter and the sugar. I'm using a silicone spoon, the back of it specifically. Smash the butter into the sugar and vice versa until you get something that looks kind of like cake frosting. This goes much more quickly with softened butter. Now let's puree Pawpaw. Oh boy, it's time for the star of the show, Pawpaw! I added a little citric acid for freshness. This goes into the food processor, where I'll pulse it until there are no more big chunks. It kind of looks like a wet porridge. We add a cup of the Pawpaw puree to the creamed butter and sugar. Finally, a teaspoon of vanilla extract. And mix it up until it looks like a slightly different porridge. On to the dry ingredients. Start with all-purpose flour. We need 2 cups. Half a teaspoon of baking soda. Half a teaspoon of baking powder. Half a teaspoon of ground cinnamon. Half a teaspoon of ground nutmeg, and a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. And mix it thoroughly. I like to use a fork. Now, to combine. I like to mix the dry ingredients into the wet in a couple of phases just to reduce the mess. Once thoroughly mixed into a tacky dough, scoop spoonfuls onto a cookie sheet, 2 to 3 inches apart. This recipe makes about 2 dozen cookies. That's it for the hard part. The oven's preheated and we have 2 dozen cookies ready to go in. Let's do it. Alright. Oh, can't forget the timer. The cookies will bake for 11 minutes, then I'll switch the 2 pans on the racks and bake them for another 11 minutes. The baking is done. Time to take the cookies out of the oven. Now we transfer the cookies to a cooling rack. Wait until they're completely cooled before moving on to the next step. The cookies are cool. Time to make the glaze. Start with a cup and a half of confectioner sugar, 3 tablespoons of Pawpaw puree, and 1 tablespoon of water. Whisk together until you have a thick syrup. Pour the syrup into a plastic baggie or piping bag if you've got them. Squish all the syrup into one corner of the bag and snip the very tip of the corner off with scissors. Then drizzle the glaze over the cookies in a fun pattern. Leave the cookies for about 20 minutes to let the glaze set. And there you have it, delicious Pawpaw cookies. They're a seasonal flavor you'll look for again and again. Enjoy!